Oh, what is the Upskis, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GX Hockey. Yep, HockeyCast. There we go. Forgot I'm a little sleepy. We are on episode 103. This is a sick one. We're going to do a pair of Leaf legendary defensemen. Here it comes. Justin Holl and John Klingberg. I'm a sick man of my little hockey show where once a week I go through all the news in the major, what's happenings in the NHL, mainly focusing in on the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Calgary Flames, but I have barely talked about those teams in the last few weeks because we're talking about all the other teams in the league. Well, mainly the two that are in the finals, and that is mainly what we're talking about today. I will be previewing the finals, the Stanley Cup finals, Edmonton Oilers versus the Florida Panthers. And of course, I'm going to break down the two series prior to that. Round 3, we'll break that down. Talk about what is potentially next for the Rangers and the Dallas Stars. Are their futures bright, or is that it? We'll see. We'll talk about that. Potential legend is retiring from the game more than likely, but we'll get into all that a little bit later. So let's just dive into it, baby. We got NHL playoff hockey. So let's start with the Rangers and the Florida Panthers, because this is the series I actually predicted correctly. I had the Florida Panthers winning this one in 6. I'm no genius or anything. I'm literally just guessing. I want the series to go longer. I hope that, 7 would be great for all of them, but I didn't believe in the Rangers against the Panthers this time around, and you can see it throughout that series how Florida just absolutely wore down the Rangers. They really didn't have an answer for the Tkachuk and Bennett line, and I think Rodriguez is also on that line as well. They're just running around out there, just doing whatever they want, really. I mean, it was a really good series right there for Tkachuk in that lineup. Barkov was ridiculous, just shutting down everything. But on the Rangers side, I mean, there were some rough series, some rough performances in this series. I know Keandre Miller was getting a ton of heat for his play in this series, just getting caught, just not looking good on some of the goals against, just not playing very smart. Some really bad giveaways, like some just awful giveaways, man. But it doesn't mean that Keandre Miller is a horrible player. He just had a bad few games, which, in a way, I'm not saying it's just him that cost the Rangers the series. I mean, they had pretty much not a lot of offense at all from their stars. I mean, Zibanejad was very, very quiet. He had a very quiet playoff, and that is a little bit of a conversation Rangers might have in the offseason. I saw one comment that was made from Zibanejad. He just said that, there's always next year, and that tends to piss off a lot of people. It's like, he doesn't really care, and that's always kind of been the story around Zibanejad, is that he never really liked hockey anyway all that much, and he's always been interested in other things. Did you know that he's a DJ? DJ Zibanejad? I don't remember what his DJ name is, but he likes to DJ on the side. Hey, there's nothing wrong with having more than one passion, and I'm not taking away Zibanejad's passion, but his playoff performance was rather quiet from his regular season performance. And, that sounds a little, familiar to us Leaf fans with Mitch Marner, but, yeah, man, we'll see what's going on with Zibanejad. Some people are talking about, hey, should we trade this guy? And that sounds a little bit crazy because he's been one of the sneakier, best goal scorers in the league over the last 5 seasons, pretty much ever since he got to New York. He's been very, very good. But then you're looking at other guys on New York who just, maybe don't have the flashiest regular seasons, but shined in the playoffs, and that man is Vinny Trocheck. That guy was phenomenal for the Rangers. In this series, he was pretty much their most effective forward. He was out there doing his fucking thing, man. He was getting points. He was being just aggressive and nasty. And Kreider was all right, again, not getting the production, the goals that you're looking for out of Kreider. And Panarin, he was out there doing some stuff. He wasn't bad. He just couldn't get through the Panthers' ridiculous defense. They tighten up, and it's very difficult. They're going to push you to the outside, and that's where they flourish. And, yeah, good luck trying to get in there. And that's not really where the Rangers tend to do their best hockey in the yuck, if you will, and that's where Florida is always about it. And the big thing that was a major difference between these teams is that Florida loves getting into it after every whistle. Oh my God, it's just automatic. Just like whistle, all right, I'm grabbing someone. What's up, bitch? Get a stinky glove. You get a little jab, a little something, and that is after every whistle. And you can tell that was just wearing down the Rangers, man, because they're definitely. I don't think there's any team in the league that is as engaged after whistles as the Florida Panthers are. Oh my goodness, it's amazing. It's like watching online hockey games. You know how everyone goes a little nuts after the whistle, trying to hit each other, going a little nuts. And that's what the Florida Panthers do. They just bring that element to everything. They're always going to get you in a scrum, and that's got to wear you down, man. That's got to wear you down. Like, oh, God, here comes Matthew yet again, getting in my business, getting in my kitchen, and I also have to ride that fucking mystery line of, well, if I hit him back, am I going to get a penalty? Like, it's been ridiculous, you know, the refereeing. We'll just get that one out of the way. All series, it's, again, strange, weird, awful calls all around, pretty much every game. But, again, when it happens every single game, pretty much, it's just what it is, right? So I guess we just have to accept it, and we'll move on. But some other performances for the Rangers. I mean, it was cool to see Blake Wheeler get into a game. I felt like that was kind of just not really talked about very much, but yeah, he got into a game, didn't do a whole lot. You know, I don't think they won that game either that he was in, but clearly outside of Trocheck, the Rangers MVP is Igor Shesterkin. I mean, how could he not be? He's literally the only reason how they got to Game 6. They probably, if Igor wasn't in net, maybe it's a sweep. It was not necessarily dominant, but without Shesterkin in there, who knows, man? Like, he made some outstanding saves. He definitely kept the Rangers in it and gave them opportunities, kept games closer than they probably should have been. So that is the best goaltender, arguably the best goaltender in the playoffs this year. He's gone. So the Rangers Florida was able to take down arguably the best goaltender. They took down Vasilevsky. Who'd they take down in the other round? They took down a goalie. It's okay. The Bruins, Swayman. So yeah, the Panthers can score, and we've seen them line all the way down. Even their fourth line has been very effective. I don't think Luosterainen or Lundell are on that. I believe they're that third line, but man, they're good. Oh my goodness. Watching these games, I've watched all these games in the 30 format, where on the Sportsnet you can watch the game in 30. I work nights, so that's just how I have to intake it, but man, it's been excellent. I love watching these games in 30 minutes because I don't have to watch any of all the 500 icings and blown. It's excellent. I've been loving it. But man, Luosterainen, Lundell, they've been fucking ridiculous. Barkov has been insane. Reinhart has been, he's had flashes of that offense, but he's been pretty damn good as well. And of course, Bennett, not shying away from that controversy, but he knows what he's doing, man. Like, he made it to the finals last year. He's learning a lot, and yeah, he's showing that he's a bona fide playoff guy. Year in, year out, this guy shines in the playoffs, whether you fucking like it or not. And I imagine, I just saw that in the comments of a YouTube video I was watching of the hockey guy, and they were saying, like, man, this is going to sting for Calgary Flames fans, this final right here. Not only is it the Edmonton Oilers, the sworn rivals of Calgary in the finals here, they also have Tkachuk over there on the other side, who, in a way, abandoned the Calgary Flames, but I, as a Flames fan, do not hold that against Tkachuk. I bought a Tkachuk jersey after he left Calgary. Like, I understood exactly his move. I can't really hold it against him. You see the team in Calgary kind of falling apart. He saw the writing in the stone. He saw the team that didn't want to get into the battles with him, so he went somewhere where they're going to fight with him, and he made the right decision. It was a great call for him. I can't hold that against him. It was a ballsy move, and he did it. So, I'm a huge Tkachuk fan. Even me as a Flames fan, I can't resist. He's just he's the man. I know there's so much hate for him, and I get a lot of hate for loving that guy, but oh well, it is what it is. I like him a lot. Oh, well, the pain is real for Calgary Flames fans as usual, but it's okay. Let's go back now. Continuing on with the Florida Rangers series, some of the other things that came out of it is Adam Fox. They had the locker clean-out day for the Rangers, and Adam Fox said that he re-aggravated a knee injury that he had earlier in the season, so that's why his play was a little bit off as well. He was also getting some criticism, so that could potentially ease some of the criticism from Ranger fans towards Adam Fox. I mean, he's a fantastic defenseman, and yeah, clearly he was a little bit off, and that's going to explain it. Yeah, if you have a bummed up knee, that's going to affect you. But another defenseman I need to shout out on the Florida side is Forsling. This guy has been fan-fucking-tastic. He's probably going to be another guy that starts to enter that most underrated conversation. Well, at least I hope so anyway, because he is an unbelievable defensive defenseman, and in the playoffs here, he has been pitching in some huge goals for Florida, and man, this guy should be getting some flowers. He not only is one of the best waiver wire pickups of all time, like this guy cleared waivers, I think, through 2 teams, and then ends up on Florida, becomes a bona fide top 4 defenseman for the Florida Panthers, if not one of their best defensemen on the team right now. He is unreal for them, and they got him locked in for a fantastic deal. So yeah, Florida Panther fans, hopefully they know more than anybody that Forsling is the fucking man. And he has been having an excellent playoff run for Florida. So I think that is everything that I want to mention in that series. Bobrovsky, he was really good as well. Made the big saves when he needed to. Was he the most busy in that series against the Rangers? No, but again, when they had the chances, they had good ones. At times, the Rangers did. Bobrovsky was there to make the majority of the big saves, and that's what you need. That's very difficult, to maybe get 18 to 22 shots, and you may not see a lot of action, but when it comes at you, it's just like, holy fuck, that was like a 10-bell save, and Bobrovsky's been doing that, so he has not been holding back the Panthers whatsoever. He has been fantastic in this playoff run as well. So let's go to Dallas and Edmonton. I'm a little bit sad that Dallas goes down. I was cheering for them and Joe Pavelski. We'll talk about Joe Volkop in a little bit, but let's focus on the series here. It was pretty written in the stone. I think it was Game 5. Game 5, once you saw that game, I wrote it down here. Dallas is in trouble. After that game, it's like, okay, Edmonton's figured something out. They found something on Ottinger, they found a spot they can score, they found a way into Dallas's system and able to carve in there and get goals, but they figured something out in Game 5, and then Game 6, Dallas played a good game in Game 6, but, Edmonton only had 10 shots that whole entire game, and they scored 2 pretty early goals, and they just locked it down. Rare. In this NHL, that doesn't really happen now. The 2-goal lead is not safe. The 3-goal lead, arguably the 4-goal lead, is no longer safe in this league on a consistent basis. And what we're seeing is kind of the opposite in this playoffs. We're seeing Florida shutting teams down. We saw Vancouver and Nashville. So many teams have been shutting shit down and clogging up lanes, low shots, shot suppression, lots of blocking, clogging lanes, like I said, and lots of tight games. We're not seeing a ton of blowouts. We're not seeing a ton of high-scoring games, but we are seeing tight-checking, defensively responsible games, and it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat to see this, and hopefully a little bit eye-opening for the Leafs, and watching, I would think their big brother in the Edmonton Oilers able to transition what would, most people would look at the Edmonton Oilers with Leon and McDavid and Nuge and all these firepower weapons, and you would look at them, it's like, it's an offensive heavy team. They're thinking they're probably winning 7-5, and it's like, no, this team actually has been playing unreal defensive hockey. I know there's the criticism with Darnell Nurse and all that stuff, but that aside, they've been playing very responsible, tight hockey, playing fantastic in front of Skinner, allowing shots from distance to the outside, making sure he can see it, making sure that his job is as easy as they can possibly make it for him, because, Skinner he's had his ups and downs. He gets blown up in one game, comes back strong, plays his best game the next. So he's a very up and down goalie. He's definitely not the goalie I would ideally pick. My first pick to go into a Stanley Cup final, but he made it here for a reason, so he's playing good enough. And you have to give him his flowers he literally lost his job midway through the playoffs to Picard. He got it back, and he's been playing his best run since. So yeah, a little bit shaky there at the beginning, but Skinner's really, against Dallas, he was spectacular. Game 7, that was maybe his best game ever. Dallas got a lot of shots, man, and we're seeing other weird things going on with this playoffs as well. Like, shots don't necessarily matter. We saw, the biggest example of that is Game 6. I think I might have said 7, but Game 6 of Edmonton and Dallas. Edmonton gets 10 shots total, Dallas over 30, and they struggled to score. They couldn't get anything really against Skinner. They got 1 goal there, but Edmonton shut it down. They played a fantastic defensive game. And we're seeing some trends kind of getting bucked a little bit here, and most trends get made in the playoffs. A lot of teams are watching right now. We're watching how these teams got here, and what's getting them there right now is defense. Defense first, baby. I've always preached that. Defense wins championships. I'm not the first one to say that, that's for sure, but it's true, man. It may not be the most flashy, fun hockey that everybody wants, but it's winning. It's winning hockey right now. So we're seeing it out of Edmonton. We're seeing it out of Florida. And, yeah. But let me see. Let's go back to Dallas-Edmonton. What else do we... Edmonton right now. 10, it might be 11 now, straight games without allowing a power play goal against. I think it's 28 kills or something in a row. Holy fuck. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. I don't know if that's a record, but it's got to be close. It's absolutely ridiculous. So congratulations to the Oilers. They have been locking it down on the penalty kill. They are coming in with the best power play, so that is going to be something we talk about when we do the finals preview in just a moment. But Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, he had a great Game 5, double dip on the power play. Oilers, like I said, great in front of Skinner, blocking the shots. And that was an off game, for sure, for Dallas. Thankfully, they came back. They had a respectable Game 6, but Game 5 was dog shit out of them. Ottinger, not a great game out of him. He let in a couple of not very good goals. What was it, Zach Hyman? Scoring a goal from, distance? Is that a thing? Has that happened this year, Edmonton? That was the farthest goal I've seen Hyman score, and he scored it right in the dot. So just a normal shooting position, but Ottman, okay. So, he's probably going to catch some flack, but he's a young goaltender. He's still really good. I think people do still overrate Ottinger a little bit for that very amazing run. I think it was against Calgary that he had. But he's still a really good young goaltender. In the future, I feel like it's still very, very bright for the Dallas Stars. They're built extremely well. They have very young pieces that are locked into good contracts. There's just some other, I don't want to really say the term trim the fat, but they have guys like Ryan Suter still on the team making 3.5. In a way, he's more on the liability side than he is a reliable asset for the Dallas Stars, I feel like, since he's gotten there. He's great veteran leadership and all that stuff, but I don't know. I just feel like he's been, more on the side of the bad things for Dallas. So is there potential for them to move on from him? I feel like his contract's a little bit expensive. Is there potential for a buyout there? And then you have the older stars in Seguin and Jamie Benn. I feel like Jamie Benn had a pretty solid overall playoff, getting very dirty for sure. He's definitely in there for the controversy award as well. He was getting into it. He is not shy with it. I would just see him going into scrums and whacking someone. They whack him back in the face, and he's just got blank stare. He's just in a fucking zone right there. So I was all right, that guy's a little bit crazy right there in Jamie Benn, but yeah, these guys are still making $9.5 million. They're definitely past their expiration date for earning that much money, but I think it's one more year for each, him and Seguin. So yeah, maybe with the bonuses of having really good contracts with Robertson and Heinz and Heiskanen, this is okay. I think they'll be able to make it. They should battle back and be a very competitive team, I feel like, again next year, and the year probably after that, and the year after that, as long as they spend their money wisely after this. But they have a great core with Heiskanen, Ottinger, Heinz. They got, like, Robertson, and Wyatt Johnson. Oh, buddy. So that's the one they're going to have to worry about soon. I think his contract is up potentially this year or next. They have some work to do there in Dallas, but a lot of great pieces. So I feel like Dallas will be a threat in the incoming 5 years. I feel like they have a pretty big window right here. It's just what they add. I think they definitely need to fix up that back end because Lundqvist playing 5 minutes back there, Ryan Suter back there, I think they need to upgrade. But they also have Thomas Harley, I think, that also needs a deal. He had 15 goals as a defenseman, by the way, so he's going to make some money. It's going to be interesting for Dallas, but I think they're going to make it. They have smart GM for the most part, and we'll see what goes on with Pete DeBoer, the coach. I mean, I think he's been great. I don't think he's the reason why they lost that series. I think he's potentially the reason they're getting as far as they're getting right now. So I don't think Pete DeBoer is necessarily going to get fired, but maybe one more run with Pete DeBoer, and if it doesn't go well, then they can probably move on from him. But also have to shout out Corey Perry being the first player in NHL history to ever play in 5 Stanley Cup finals with 5 different teams. Now he hasn't won very many of those. He's only won once with the Anaheim Ducks, and that was way back in 2007. So yeah, he lost with the Habs. He lost with Dallas, I think. He lost with others. He lost with others. The fact of the matter is he's lost more finals than he's won. So Edmonton Oilers fans hoping that Corey Perry breaks that curse right there. But regardless, a outstanding achievement, man. Like, this guy is a battler. Like, there's a reason he's made it to so many finals. He's not it's not his fault that they're losing. He hasn't even been in all the games for Edmonton. But honestly, against Florida, I think they're going to need Corey Perry to come out there and hopefully become Scory Perry, or at least Scary Perry, because they're going to need one of those guys to show up. So, with that being said, let's get into the finals preview. Edmonton Oilers making it for the first time in the Connor McDavid era. This is the first time McDavid, Leon Draisaitl are here in the finals. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Who else is back there that's been there for a long time? I think Nugent-Hopkins is the longest tenured Oiler on the team right now. So since 2011, I think that motherfucker got drafted. Long time. So there's been a lot of suffering for guys like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and even McDavid, man. A lot of heartbreak, a lot of frustrating seasons. And this is the first time he's here. And I think it's going to be great for the league. I mean, I feel like the ratings have been up across the board for most of the series. I think easily it's going to crush the numbers from last year, because last year, admittedly, a little bit light because it's Florida. There isn't a great track record with Florida, and with their, they just haven't been very successful. They don't have a lot of great history there. A little bit of early success, and then nothing. A little bit of success, and now we're sustaining success, and that's why I feel like this one's going to be even better, because Florida was in the finals last year. They're back again. So now people are going to be like, yo, okay, something's going on there with those Panthers. This team's legit, and they're 1,000% legit. So you got that, and then, of course, you got Canada's team. It's Edmonton. So you got a Canadian team in the finals for the first time since the Montreal Canadiens, I'm pretty sure. And, I don't think a lot of people were expecting the Habs to do a lot of damage right there. And they didn't, but they did enough damage to me mentally that I don't know if I'll ever recover from that loss. But anyway, we're not talking about that one right now. What we're going to talk about is who can win this series. And honest to God, I have no fucking idea. It is damn close. So let's just talk about the things that I think these teams have an advantage over the other. And let's start with Edmonton, and I feel like they have a clear advantage when it comes to the specialty teams. They have the better power play. It's clicking over 30-something% right now. And people can argue, have they gone up? Has Edmonton gone up against penalty kill as good as Florida's? Maybe, maybe not, but regardless, their power play has been potent the whole entire time. And Florida is a team that plays very aggressive and mean, and again, it's the finals now, so we're going to have a completely new set of ideas for how the games are going to get called now for the referees. So, clean slate, I guess. I would imagine it's going to be more lenient than normal, question mark, with a lot of question marks. I have no idea how this series is going to get reffed. It's going to be bananas. So, Edmonton has the specialty team advantage, not only in power play, but I would give them the penalty kill advantage too, because they've killed over 25 straight power plays. So, I mean, the hockey guy said this thing, and that's funny. So, he said it's going to probably go one of two ways. Rather, Edmonton's penalty kill continues to be amazing. They continue to shut down all the teams. They shut down the Florida Panthers, and they go fucking multiple more games without allowing a power play goal. Or Florida's going to score on their first power play and end that shit right away. So I feel like Florida's going to come in with a plan to break that streak, because that is something that Edmonton is holding on to right now that is motivating them to fucking die, to kill off these penalties, and it's working. So if Florida can break that, that could potentially break the Edmonton Oilers mentally, or at least give Florida a little wiggle room to get in there and get some damage done. Like, oh, there you go. We broke through your biggest advantage, bitch. Now what? Well, there is potentially another advantage that the Edmonton Oilers have, and that is the Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl factor. Arguably the two best players, at least one of the best players in the league, bona fide, and yeah, that's always going to be a factor. These guys have damn near 30 points apiece. They continuously always crush in the playoffs. Does McDavid have the most goals right now? No, but he was scoring in the Dallas series, so he's showing that, yeah, I'm maybe his wrist is getting better, or maybe he's just realizing, like, hey, maybe I need to shoot this puck a little bit more and not focus on the passing. But McDavid's been a threat. Leon's been a threat. Hyman's been a threat. The guys that they need to wake up and could be a game breaker is Evander Kane. Evander Kane, if he can, I don't know if they're going to want him engaging with Florida and Tkachuk and Bennett and stuff to try and, suppress that, because Kane hasn't really been doing a lot offensively. I think he's got 4 goals, like 8 points. Like, not bad, but he has other elements to his game that he brings. He obviously can get in your kitchen and piss you off and fuck with you mentally and throw you off your game. He could throw big hits and all that shit. And speaking of big hits, back to Darnell Nurse, who is getting a lot of flack. I understand that. If he was making like $5 million, I don't think people would even be talking. They might even be praising him because he's throwing like 10 to fucking 15 hits a game. He's trying, man. He's very much so trying, and you can't blame the player for signing a contract like that. If someone came up to you and said, hey, do you want to make $9.5 million every year? You're gonna sign that contract every single time. It's not Darnell's fault. It's the GM's fault. They offered it to him, and Darnell said, yup, why the hell not? Is he gonna, he's gonna take the scrutiny. And yeah, he was a little salty with that, his little interview there, but can you blame him? Like, the things that people say about this guy is just out of control sometimes. It's a game, so settle down. Anyway, so you have Evander Kane. What is that guy going to do? What element is he going to bring to the series? He could be quiet. He could find his scoring niche and start scoring some goals, or he's going to get into the Florida Panthers kitchen and fuck them up. Or, another option, he could fuck the Edmonton Oilers with the shenanigans. So maybe, who knows? I don't know. Maybe he does something bad, sees red, and gets a 5-minute major or something like that. I doubt that would happen in the finals, but who knows? So Evander Kane is definitely a wild card in this series. And I would have to put possibly Stuart Skinner in that wild card situation as well. I am giving the Florida Panthers the edge in goaltending, but Skinner's been getting better as the playoffs have been going along. So he's getting more comfortable. Sadly, there is a whole week in between the series. We don't start until Saturday, which is just a little bit sick in the head, but it's understandable. They want the players to get a little bit rested up They want the travel because they know the travel is going to be bullshit going from Edmonton to Florida and back and forth and back and forth. So they want to try and give everybody a little bit of a break. I get it, but geez, all the way to Saturday, man. All right. But yeah, that is obviously a factor. That is a level of player, in McDavid and Draisaitl that arguably just Florida doesn't have. They have very good players. They have Tkachuk. They have Bennett. They have Reinhart. They have Barkov. But do they have a McDavid Draisaitl? Probably not. I don't think so. They have a Tkachuk who's a 100-plus point player. Not this year, but he's an excellent player as well. Maybe top 10. So you have to give Edmonton that edge because they just have that wild card factor in these game-breaking players, and they just happen to have two of them. So there is that. So with the Florida side, I have to give them the physical edge. They hit harder, they're bigger, and they love that shit. They are going to get engaged with you probably every scrum. That's just what they do. That is how they wear you down. They're going to wear you down during whistles, after whistles. It doesn't matter. They're just swarming. God damn, it is just really fun to watch, man. It's just how all over you they are, to give you no room, no space to breathe or think. They're just all over you, hitting you, and you're terrified. You just don't know what's coming. At any point, Bennett can come and just freaking destroy you. You don't know what's coming. But yeah, they're going to be throwing hits. It's not that Edmonton is weak. I think they have a fairly strong team as well. They can throw the hits, and they block a lot of shots. Both of these teams, a ton of blockage. So defensively as well, I think Florida, slight edge. But yeah, it definitely, physically, you got it there, right there. And I would have to say that Florida's got the edge in goaltending but it's slight. It's not like, oh my goodness, like this guy is so ridiculous. We've seen Stuart Skinner get shutouts. I think he has 2 in this playoff run. So it's not that Skinner's bad and necessarily costing Edmonton games, but I would feel, honestly, I would feel way more comfortable with Bobrovsky in net than I would with Skinner. I would take Bobrovsky. So that's how I feel about it. Bobrovsky, he's been in the finals last year, so he's got that experience. So hopefully he's already through those jitters. He can get through that. Skinner, he might not. He might crumble under the pressure, or he might thrive in the pressure. We will see. And that's the other thing with McDavid and Draisaitl. We have never seen them here before. And I think McDavid is going to go sicko mode. I think he's going to put everything on the line. He will fucking break bones. He will do whatever it takes, I think, to win this cup. Because he has to. He has to. If he is truly going to solidify himself as one of the greatest of all time, he has to win a cup. That was always kind of the thing with Ovechkin until he won his cup. It's always like, but he doesn't have that Stanley Cup. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Crosby's got 3. So, ooh. And yeah, so McDavid has to win a cup. And it'd be fucking great to see him win it. In terms of all the other categories, they're very close. Oddly, Edmonton has been getting a bit of depth scoring. They've found a little bit of stuff there with Connor Brown. They've gotten a little bit of offense down there. It's not amazing, but they've been getting it done. So I would expect Corey Perry to get in this series. I would be putting him in there, potentially, I guess. Maybe not in Game 1, or maybe Game 1. I don't know. Florida's got the home ice advantage, so I don't know. Do you want to try and answer Florida's tone, which is going to be maniac? And, Corey Perry, he can do that. So we'll see. That's going to be interesting. They have time to figure all that shit out. In terms of who I'm going for in this series, my goodness. So my thinking is, why I would choose Florida is they've never won a Stanley Cup before. It's always a great story to see a franchise win their first cup. That's awesome. Look how long it's been for Buffalo and Vancouver. They've been in the league since the 70s, and they still don't have it. And Florida, one of their newer teams, and they've gone through so much bullshit, man. Like, they just haven't had good ownership for a majority of their existence, and they were kind of the butt end of a lot of, when's this team going to move? Maybe they'll become the Nordiques, or just, it's the Panthers. Like, whatever. They're just kind of here in the league. They're just kind of a sideshow. Like, look at you guys having a trip to Florida. I'll go see a hockey game. Like, what? There's hockey in Florida? And no, now the Panthers are legitimately under good management now. They have built a fantastic team through trades, waiver pickups, drafting, signings. They've just done a fantastic job, like bringing in Sam Reinhart, the Tkachuk deal. Like, I don't know if people were thinking that Florida won that trade off the bat, but look at them go now, back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. So I think it's safe to say that they won that trade by now. Calgary hasn't had a playoff run since that trade. So I don't know. That looks like Florida might have done something right in that decision right there. So those would be some of the reasons I would be rooting for Florida, along with just players I like. I know they're former Flames, but that's also why I kind of like them. Like, I know they didn't necessarily leave in good terms. Bennett, they just didn't use him. Flames just didn't use the guy properly. So he was like, fuck this shit. Like, get me out of here. And then, so I can't blame these guys for just being like, you know what? Fuck this. This isn't working here. You're not using me. You're not giving me opportunities. You're not listening. I'm out of here. So I'm rooting for guys like Bennett and Bobrovsky and Tkachuk and Ekblad, who's been there forever and he's going through tons of injuries and all that bullshit. Forsling, like, there's a lot of people that I like on Florida. Do I really give a shit, like, all that much about Florida, the organization? Like, no, they're not my favorite team out there, but they're a team that hasn't won. And I always like when a team gets a championship for the first time. It'd be a little bit annoying with that storyline that would get built in as like, oh, these Florida teams keep winning championships. Like, oh, is it the no state tax? Oh, is it the sunshine? I don't know. Why does everyone come here? Because it's fucking nice to live in Florida. It's a great time. People leave you alone. You can win championships and just enjoy the sun. It's just their fucking time, man. It's just Florida's time, and they're playing very good right now. And yeah, but that would be a little bit annoying. Like, but on the other side, you got a Canadian team right there battling against them. And that was the other storyline. Oh, these Canadian teams. No one wants to play for Canada. No one wants to be in Canadian cities. No one wants to deal with the media scrutiny, yada, yada, yada. My argument to that, again, is, have you seen Europe? Have you ever watched a media scrum in Europe? Have you ever seen any of that stuff? People get killed over there for missing penalty kicks and stuff like that. So ease it a little bit. Like, they just ask you, like, whatever. I'm not going to get into that. But on the Edmonton side, Zach Hyman. I love that man. He is just a national treasure. And yeah, I want to buy him Christmas presents. I want to hug him. I want to put a sweater on him and watch him enjoy the knitted whatever. I don't even know how to knit, but I'll knit something for Zach Hyman. I like him so much, and I want that guy to win. And Connor Brown. I love cheering for former Maple Leafs that go on and have a better career, because I'm like, hell yeah, I knew you can do better. You were just stuck here in a shitty role, in a shitty environment, and off you go. And no, Connor Brown hasn't been outstanding, but a story is. But Zach Hyman's been ridiculous. He has been such a great story, from a nothing draft pick with zero to little expectations to this 50 goal scorer in the Stanley Cup Finals. Like, God, how can you not cheer for this dude? So, Zach Hyman. And yeah, sure, it'd be nice for a Canadian team to win a Stanley Cup for the first time since 1993. I just, the odds are against us. There's 7 fucking Canadian teams and 80 American teams. The odds are stacked against you. The thing that I can always be proud of is that there's always a bunch of good old Canadian boys on every freaking team that wins a Stanley Cup. And they always bring the cup here. The cup came to my hometown like a year or two ago. So, like, the cup always comes back to Canada. It lives in Canada. So I just don't, care that much about it, but I know a lot of people do. So yeah, that would be great to see a Canadian team win it. Even my wife was like, holy jumping, did you know that and I almost basically finished her sentence. Like, yeah, I know, the Canadian team that was in 1993, goddamn it. But anyway, yeah, that would be wicked. And, like, in a way, like, I'm not the biggest Connor McDavid guy. Like, he's just, he's just not really the most emotional, personable guy. I know he's trying. I commend him for trying. Like, since the early days and what he is like now, you can clearly see that he's trying. He's just he's just not that good at it. And some people just aren't that good at it. Not everybody is Patrick Kane and Austin Matthews, just dripping in swag or whatever the fuck. But I want that dude to win. I don't want him to ever, go down as one of probably the greatest player in my lifetime, I would imagine. Who knows? But I mean, I feel like he's going to end up being better than Crosby. I feel like he's all said and done, he's probably going to be the second highest scoring forward of all time. I feel like he'll pass Mark Messier. He's almost at 1,000 points already, and I feel like he's only like halfway and probably has a lot more in the tank. So we'll see. I can easily see McDavid playing till 40, and I wouldn't want to see him go till 40 with no Stanley Cups. So I think it would be much better for not only the league, Canada, I think it would just be huge for Connor McDavid to win the Stanley Cup. I feel like it is a thing that needs to happen, like it was for Sidney Crosby needing to win a cup. I think it was just as important for Ovechkin to win his cup, because you don't want these guys to have that against them and take away from what they are amazing players. Like if McDavid goes down and puts down 2,300 regular season points, all this hardware, but he was never got that Stanley Cup. And that's just going to take away from people's opinion of him all over. And I just don't want that to happen to him. I feel like Connor McDavid will not be denied a cup. He will get one day, but if he doesn't get it this year, will it be in Edmonton? Will he win this cup eventually in Edmonton, or will that be it? I don't know, man. I feel like they're in the right direction. I don't really feel all that threatened that McDavid will leave. I hear very weird things about Draisaitl and San Jose and a weird connection there, but I don't think McDavid's going anywhere. I feel like he will be a lifelong Oiler. That's just how I feel about it. Leon, I could be convinced otherwise. We will see. But just don't worry about that, Edmonton fans. Just focus on the road ahead, right in front of you, the Stanley Cup Finals. It's going to be bananas. And back to the question, who do I think is going to win? I don't know. I wanted to go 7. Wow. Oh, that's so tough. It is so close. I don't know. I'll just pick Edmonton, I think. I love Zach Hyman. But I really don't like the Oilers, though, you know? Growing up, you know, in my main years of really blossoming into a fan, watching the Oilers win first round pick after first round pick after first round pick, and blowing up Nail Yakupov and trading off Hall, and just being just a fucking joke of an organization for so long. And then they get gifted Connor McDavid, and I was like, oh boy, here we go again. Are they going to ruin this kid too? And no, they actually haven't. So I don't know, man. Like, I'm trying to shake off that nasty, ugly era of the Oilers that I just really, really hated them, man. I just couldn't stand Oilers. I hated it. I hated them. But now they're acceptable. I feel like overall I'm a bigger fan of the Florida team. I really cannot. Do I have to pick? I really don't want to pick. I guess I kind of have to. Edmonton, and no, I think it's going to be... Fuck, that's hard. I can't even say it. I can't get the words out. I think it's going to be Florida, man. I think Florida's going to do it. They were here last year, and that's a big element, man, that they were here before, and they lost in the final, and now they probably know what that missing element was. I think the big thing is going to come down to Stuart Skinner versus Bobrovsky. If Stuart Skinner can continue to remain amazing, and the Oilers' power penalty kill continues to be amazing, and their power play, then they have a shot. But I think Florida is going to swarm them. Barkov is going to be on one of McDavid or Draisaitl, and he's been ridiculous at shutting down anything you put in front of him. Barkov can shut it down. Florida's defense is big and heavy. I would say their defense is much deeper than Edmonton's. It's just if McDavid and Draisaitl, Hyman, and the boys can get through the Panthers' fortress, if you will, it's going to be crazy. I don't think there is any advantage in terms of home to road advantage. Both these teams have played well on the road. Both have played okay at home. So I don't think that's really going to be a big deal. Honestly, I expect ravenous crowds in Florida and Edmonton. It should be maniac shit, and it should be a lot of fun. I want it to go 7. I want it to be good, tight, competitive series. I don't want blowout to another blowout to another blowout. I want to have good-ass hockey, and I feel like this is probably going to be an amazing series. I'm very much so looking forward to it. Let me know who you think is going to win this series. Are we going to finally get a cup back in Edmonton? Will McDavid raise that cup Oh my God, it's going to be wild, man. It's going to be absolutely wild. Speaking of wild, Joe Pavelski is Dunyan rings, I think. He thinks, at least. He said that he has no plans of returning next season, and I am very sad about this. Joe Pavelski, probably one of my favorite players who was in the league, isn't in the league. I love that guy. He's little Joe. He's Jovo Cop. He's just Captain America. He's the man. He is the picture of consistency. You look at this guy's career, and it's just like, it's just a pretty consistent, pretty good shit, man. He's generally good for 20 to 30 goals. He would pop in a 40-goal season here or there, 60 to 70 points, and a very good playoff performer. It's kind of shocking that Pavelski is going to go down without a cup because he was so damn good in the playoffs, man. Like, I know this year he was very quiet. This is the first time that I think we as fans have seen Joe Pavelski look like a 39-year-old NHL player because he looked a little bit behind. He was playing on the fourth line a little bit. He did get a goal, but he didn't get a lot of points, man. So, I don't know. If he did come back next year, I think that would be the official drop-off. Like, you would see probably a dip of 20, 25 plus points if that is the level that he's playing at. And he's probably just like, yo, I'm good. Like, I don't know. Like, I imagine he's probably not good with not winning a cup and shit like that. And that sucks, man. It does suck, and that's going to, the big talk now is Joe Pavelski a Hall of Fame player? I don't think so, honestly. I know he's played for a very long time, and he was very, very good for a very long time, but the fact of the matter is he didn't win any major hardware. He didn't lead the league at any point in goals or points. So I think he was in the Hart conversation one season there where I think he was 8th or 9th in voting. So, yeah, Joe Pavelski has always been a very good player, but as some people say, it's the Hall of Fame, not the Hall of Very Good. So I love Joe Pavelski. He can come into my Hall of Fame, absolutely, because I love that dude. He can go into the Hall of Fame of best deflectors or tipping guys of all time because he was so good in front of the net. And he's definitely going to go into the Hall of Fame for at least American-born hockey players, you would have to imagine. He's one of the best ones. He's got over 1,000 points, played over 1,300 games, almost had 500 goals. So that could be an argument, but then the long-term thing. So I don't know. I personally just don't think he'll make it in there, but I would love him in there. I don't think anyone would be really all that upset about it, but there's some other guys that are outside of the Hall of Fame that, McGillney, guys like that. I don't know. Is Joe Pavelski a Hall of Famer? You should let me know. And is it the end of Joe Pavelski? I would not be shocked if Dallas signed him back on midway through next season or something, and Jovo comes in halfway, and that works out for him. It's like, all right, maybe I can do one more half season and a deep playoff run, because I think Dallas is bound for another playoff run next season, and wouldn't that be a great motivator if halfway through it's like, yo, Jovo Cop is coming back. Oh my goodness. So that could be a lot of fun. What isn't fun, though, is what's going down a little bit in Vegas. So Jonathan Marchessault is a little bit upset that there's been no contract talks yet. And that's a big old ball up in the air right now for Vegas. Are they going to Vegas? Marchessault, will they do that? Former Conn Smythe winner, Stanley Cup champion, one of the original misfits that's left on the team? Are they going to let that guy walk, or is Marchessault just going to decide to walk himself? Because what's he got left to prove in Vegas? He won the Cup, got the Conn Smythe, and maybe now's his time to go cash in. He had a 40-goal season, maybe one of his best seasons ever, and who wouldn't like a former Stanley Cup champion, Conn Smythe winner, 40-goal guy on their team? That could be, maybe Carolina looks at that and go, hey, that's the kind of guy that could get us over the edge, get us to the third, to the fourth, to the finals. You know what I'm saying? So maybe Marchessault is maybe a little more tempted to test the market out, because it's not like, Vegas is probably always in the hunt for that cup, but there's a better contender out there for Marchessault. Maybe he goes back to Florida, maybe he goes to Toronto, maybe he goes somewhere else. I'm on the side of maybe he goes somewhere else. I think that would be better for him because he's done it in Vegas. There's no real reason for him to stay there other than the convenience of having his life there and all that shit. But whatever. Come to Toronto. Score 50. Do it. Win a cup. God damn it. Speaking of cups, PWHL Minnesota. They did it, baby. They win the first Walter Cup, defeating Biestin in a 3-2 series. Thank God. Oh, I would have felt so bad if they lost that after the tragedy of Game 4, having the goal called back and the celebration stopped. Thank God Minnesota got the win. That is great. That is fantastic. Also, along with that, Haisai, she wins the playoff MVP, and she was the first overall pick, the first overall pick for the PWHL, and she goes on to win the championship with the team that drafted her. So that's really cool. And I think overall a very successful first season for the PWHL. They have plans to have more games added to next season, and obviously they have plans to have team logos and names and everything because, right now there's only 6 teams and they're just named what they're named. Toronto team, Boston team, Minnesota, Montreal, I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, they're hoping to get logos and jerseys and everything great, so that's awesome, man. I'm very happy to see that they had an incredibly successful season. I think 4 or 5 times I talked about like attendance records getting broken for women's hockey, so this is excellent. It's an excellent start. Keep the momentum rolling, and I think they will, man. I think you bring in that stuff. They have some great ideas like that. Picking your playoff opponent, that seemed like a very, very cool idea. So great job from the PWHL. All I've really been able to watch is the odd highlight package here and there, and I've been able to watch a little bit at work. Sadly, I'm surrounded by some older, crustier old men at my work, and they're just like, what is this crap? Women hockey? They don't even hit. And then I'm like, look, they just hit each other. Like, this is savage hockey, bro. Like, So there's really no convincing those people, so I don't really bother trying to argue it. I just go, okay, that's fine. Like, you like what you like, I guess, but don't just shit on the PWHL just because it's women's hockey. It's better than you think, man. It is a lot better than you would think. I didn't think it was bad in the first place. I'm just happy that it's really successful, and there's more outlets for different people, like girls, younger girls, to watch this and be like, hey, I can do that. It's harder for them to watch men playing and saying, hey, I can do that. But if they got a bona fide women's league that's actually sustainable and successful the way that it's been so far, that's going to be great for a lot of little girls around the world. So I am very encouraged with the PWHL and the way that it's going so far. And then let's finish with this. This is really weird. So this is a talk of this mysterious league they're going to call it the Major League of Hockey, I think, and it's supposed to be a 3-on-3 league. So this is possibly in the works. I have not a lot of details on this. I just heard this on the 32 Thoughts podcast, and I'm like, if they're talking about it on the 32 Thoughts podcast, there might be fire where there is smoke here with this story. So I don't know what this means. Is this a situation like Live Golf and the PW or the PGA, where I don't know where the money is coming from? Apparently it's European money, so some people say it might be Saudi money. I don't know. Apparently it's European money, and they just want to make a 3-on-3 league. So I don't know if that means they want to try and compete with the NHL, or if this is like a summer league where off season we got, come watch, you want some more hockey? We got some 3-on-3 fun stuff over here featuring such players as, we don't know yet. Apparently there's been some reaching out, but to whatever players they've talked to, they've had to sign a NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, so they can't talk about it. So details are vague, not a lot known out there. A very interesting little thought that they threw out there on the podcast was the idea of bringing a guy like Phil Kessel onto your league. If this is coming in and they're doing this, why not get a name that people know, a name that people in the hockey market love in Phil Kessel? He is a folk hero. And if you can get a Phil Kessel back in this league, like, hey guys, I'm going to play 3-on-3 hockey or the hot dogs and stuff, and you get him over there, and yeah, you might have some potential. I don't know if they're thinking like, Crosby and McDavid and all those guys are coming over. I have no idea. Could be more rookies. It could be younger guys. Could be older guys. Could be retired guys. A mix of everything. I don't know, but the idea is neat. It's 3-on-3. We seem to like 3-on-3 for the most part, unless the coaches ruin it with their styles or whatnot, but that would be interesting for sure. Is it a tournament? Is it a league where there are teams? How does that work? Do you get drafted? Are there contracts? Are we trading? Are we picking? What's the money? So I heard there is a $30 million salary cap apparently being put into place. That's $30 million. I want a piece of that $30 million. So does that, like, hey, let's just say hypothetically, theoretically, that you have the NHL season, and then whenever, July 15th, here comes Major League Hockey 3-on-3 tournament time, baby. We play for a month in a tournament, and then we have a playoff, and then a champion, and then 3 weeks, and then the regular season begins. I don't know. Or you take out the preseason and just kind of have this 3-on-3 thing going on. It could be cool. And hey, you could double dip on contracts. Like, oh hey, I'm gonna sign in the P for the summer league or whatever the fuck. I get an extra couple $1 million to play, and then I go continue my whatever contract in the NHL. So I don't know. It could be a very enticing increase in money for a lot of players that maybe aren't making a whole lot with the whole escrow and everything. So hey, an extra $2, $3, $4, $5 million sounds very enticing, and you would have to think the teams will be smaller, 3-on-3, so that's 3, 6, 9, 12, 14, wait, no, I don't know. Get rid of the 12-ish, I don't know. I don't know how it works. Goalies? I guess coaches? I don't know. I think it could be a really fun opportunity to see something else. I don't know. I would like to see it at least tried, or I don't know. We need more details. I need the deets. I don't have enough deets. Those are all the deets that I have. So if you have any more of those deets, let me know. Let me know what you think of that and stuff like that. And let me know what you think of the finals. Who's coming home with the Stanley Cup? Is it Canada or is it the U.S.? Yet again, I mean, it is what it is. My whole entire existence on this earth has been American champions. I was born in 93, so, technicality, it's my fault, yada, yada, yada. Okay, it's fine. Don't worry about it. So let me know who you think is going to win. And that is it for the show today, everybody. Thank you so much for listening for the most successful month of this podcast existence. If you're new here, hello. Thanks for listening/watching. You're fantastic. And the people that have been here since the beginning, you're the best. You're the best. That's all there is to it. You're just the freaking best. So thank you so much for listening. In terms of what else we got going on with the GX Plus cast this week, going to be doing the Final Fantasy 16 review. It's gonna be ridiculous. It's gonna be so much fun. I have so much to say about that game. I'm not done it as of this exact recording. I'm literally the last segment of the game. They're just like, here's 10 side quests to do before the final boss and go, and that's where I'm at right now. So I'm just gonna clean up these side quests, finish off the final boss, and Bob's your uncle. I won't be reviewing any DLCs or anything. It's just going to be base game review. I have not purchased the DLCs, and I don't plan on it. I don't think. I'll probably move on to some other game. But, yeah, that should be the episode for this week's GamerCast. Final Fantasy 16. Going to have the WrestleCast, the recap. I think there's a pay-per-view this weekend, so be on the lookout for a pay-per-view review if there is one. And there you go. That is what I got going on for you this week. So thank you so much for listening. Make sure you're the bestest of all the bestest and review the podcast, please. And thank you. Review it, honestly. If you don't think it's, give it an honest rating. If you want to tell me if there's something I can do a little bit better, I love constructive criticism. I'm not a professional over here. I can just talk for a long time. That's it. That's all I got. That's it. So there's that. I have an email address. You can send an email. I got a Twitter page where I put up announcements and let you know when the podcasts are out for your listening pleasure and all that great stuff. Get in contact with me there. And I upload all of these to the YouTube channel, Gamer GX Videos. There's a link. All that stuff is in the description box. You can go over to YouTube. Great place. Drop a comment on one of the episodes. You want a question answered on the podcast, just drop on a comment. Anything about hockey, video games, wrestling, doesn't really matter, but, just be nice about it. And yeah, I'd love to shout you out, answer your question live on a podcast, and that would be awesome. So send them on in, and we will be back again with some more GX Plus Cast.